NTA International News.
Acting President assures rice and wheat farmers of continued support to drive self-sufficiency in food security. Surveyor General of the Federation enjoins registered countries of the African Students' Union Parliament to proffer solution to cases of boundary disputes. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora urges South African government to take decisive and definitive step to protect Nigerians against attacks. Hello and welcome to NTA International News. I'm Nancy Godi-Angonihu. There is an assurance that the federal government will continue to support the drive towards self-sufficiency in food security. The acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, gave the assurance at the meeting held with the Presidential Task Force on Rice and Wheat at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said of necessity, government will support the farmers, the millers and other stakeholders involved in the value chain. The meeting reviewed the wheat program and what more could be done to support states in order to increase production of wheat and to ensure that farmers who have responded to the call are supported in terms of getting good price for their output in order to sustain their interests. Speaking with State House correspondents after the meeting, Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Bagudu said the acting president noted with satisfaction all efforts by stakeholders to attain sufficiency in rice and wheat production in the shortest possible time.
Farmers have responded and all parts of Nigeria, about 32 states, have stepped up increased production. There has been a remarkable increase in the number of states that have produced wheat from the last season. Last season we only had about 5 states. Now about 11, we are hearing reports from 11 states, and the increase in output per state is quite significant as well. So we believe that with sustained sustained trajectory that we are seeing, we will be able to achieve our goal of self-sufficiency in wheat.
The Presidential Task Force on Wheat was inaugurated in June 2016. Present at the meeting were also the governors of Kano, Jigawa and Ebonyi states. Also in attendance were the ministers of Agriculture, Finance and the CBN governor. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says programs such as the Teju Baby Face Show are potent platforms to showcase government programs and policies to the citizenry in a manner that the people will assimilate undiluted. The minister stated this after being hosted on the program. Anthony Forsen reports.
Teju Baby Face Show is tied around political satire laced with comedy. The anchor, whose real name is Badewonuola Olateju Oyelakin, took on the minister in his usual hilarious manner by asking questions on the state of the nation. The minister equally displayed his high sense of humor. While in the studio, the minister did not only appreciate music, but made the point that he has dancing as a hobby. In the end, he blurred his mind.
It is particularly this civil society that needs to understand, one, what the government is doing, and two, that they don't have to despair, and there's hope, and that everything we are doing is just for them.
In Lagos, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
The Surveyor General of the Federation, Ebisinte Awudu, has enjoined the 54 registered countries of the African Students' Union Parliament, especially those studying surveying, to contribute in resolving crises arising from international and local boundary disputes. The Surveyor General gave the advice while playing host to the African Students' Union Parliament in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
The visit by the African Students' Union Parliament with its headquarters in Ghana to the office of the Surveyor General of the Federation in Nigeria was to acquaint themselves with the workings of the office, especially by students in the surveying industry, and commend the management for the prompt mapping out of international boundaries, maps development for geospatial information, as well as identifying areas that are prone to earth tremor in Nigeria. Riding on this vote of confidence, the Surveyor General of the Federation assured the students of more innovations from his office to address the emerging technological challenges in the surveying industry.
Even the UN passed a resolution that 2.5% of national budget should be earmarked for surveying and mapping activities. What we need to do is to the governments of African continent to spend more on surveying and mapping.
The visit was rounded off with a conferment of Pan-African Leadership Merit Award on the Surveyor General of the Federation, Ibisinta Awodo, for his various contributions to the surveying industry and youth empowerment. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has warned contractors handling road projects across the country not to compromise quality. The minister was speaking when he inspected the ongoing construction work at the Benin-Eho Road dualization project in Benin City. Goodluck Enaine reports.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, on his visit to the 33.5-kilometer Yenigwe-Okaki-Kolo Federal Highway project in Bayelsa State, says payments to contractors will now be based on performance.
Any contractor that finishes his work will pay. So we pay against performance of contractors now. From when the project is passed now, everybody packed to the site, send your certificate, we will inspect, we will pay. If you don't perform, then we take you off our road.
The minister also visited the Bayelsa State Governor Siraki Dixon, where he sued for collaboration between the state and federal government for the development of the state.
Sometime in a year, our contractor will be able to start the housing project because the peculiarities of this terrain require that we must first survey now. Please let the federal government know that our state is available for collaboration. Our state understands that most of the challenges of infrastructural development, these are all challenges that we can handle alone.
The minister has since departed the state for Abuja. In Yanagwa, Samuel Numunengi, NTA News.
That's Samuel Numunengi's report. Now, following the recent fire that engulfed property worth millions of naira at the Dennis Memorial Grammar School DMGS roundabout in Onitsha, Minister of Labour and Employment Dr. Chris Ngige has visited the scene of the inferno to assess the extent of damage. Maureen Ezokere reports.
The areas affected by the fire incident thanked God that no life was lost, but regretted that the unfortunate incident would have been curbed if the firefighters were properly equipped to stop the fire ignited by the fuel spillage.
I think the state government will try to do an assessment of the losses. These losses will obviously put some people out of job.
Minister of Labour and Employment Dr. Chris Ngige, who commiserated with the families and business owners affected, promised to inform the federal government to assist the victims.
We have a scheme that assists us to take care of those who, in the course of going to work or returning from work, suffer injuries. Such people, by the Employers' Compensation Act ECA, they get some compensation.
Dr. Ngige, however, called on the Department of Petroleum Resources to look into the issue of siting petrol stations near residential buildings to reduce the incidence of fire outbreak in Onitsha. Maureen Ezokeke, NTA News.
Greater synergy is required between the three arms of government towards achieving national growth and development. This was at a reception organized by the FCT administration for the outgoing Grand Cadi of the FCT Sharia Court of Appeal, Ibrahim Abba in Abuja. Mitairen Ibe reports.
The inauguration of the FCT Boundary Committee is coming on the heels of recent boundary disputes between some communities in FCT and neighboring states. The committee was charged to liaise with the National Boundary Commission towards achieving amicable resolution of the disputes as soon as possible.
Of course, within us in the FCT, we also have intra-boundary issues, which I'm sure you will look at.
The minister, however, warned political and community leaders in the affected towns of Abuja and Buhari not to take laws into their hands.
Any community that takes the law into its hands, the traditional rulers of their community and the relevant political and administrative officer of that community will be held fully and squarely accountable.
Chairman of the committee, Babatope Ajakaye, said the committee will be dispassionate in its assignment.
I want to assure the Honourable Minister that through this committee, we are going to ensure that the task of government of maintaining peace and security in the territory is provided.
The FCT administration maintained that peace and unity are hallmarks that will be guarded jealously in the nation's capital. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Medical practitioners have stressed the need for residents of Port Harcourt to avoid food and drinks that are exposed to vagaries of the atmosphere as a result of the black soot to avoid contamination. Chidebere Onya reports.
Black tiny particles composed of carbon produced by incomplete combustion of coal, oil, wood, and other fuel. It consists of acids and chemical metals that are harmful to the body. A medical expert, Dr. John Benagogo, says these particles, when falling upon food exposed, leads to stooling and vomiting. He said it also causes cancer and other allergies to the body.
And one of the ways the body reacts is by going through a purgative process. Then secondly, these soutes are known to cause cancers.
Some Port Harcourt residents who are selling some of the exposed food, like bole, say they take precautionary measures to prevent their food from contamination.
As you roast them down like they're supposed to put them back to fire so that all those things that are purging, it will not put a sickness into the food.
So I'm not aware about the black something. I just hear from you people.
The general public are however advised to cultivate the habit of covering their foods and drinks. In Port Harcourt, Vivian Izadefi, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. Time for our break. To return shortly with more stories. Stay with us. Nigerian youths have been urged to support the present administration as all efforts are geared towards securing the future. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, was speaking to newsmen in Abuja after an interactive session with the youth.
There are presidents who are 100-day presidents. Presidents who seek to make all of the impacts they wish to make in 100 days or in 1 year, in order to catch headlines and create impression. President Muhammadu Buhari wants to put in place something that will endure. It takes time to reconstruct something that will last, something that will endure. He's doing all of these things, the war against corruption and the battle against insecurity. It is all to secure the future for the young generation. So the young people need President Muhammadu Buhari to do this for them, because he's not doing it for himself. He's looking to the children and our own grandchildren.
Also spoke on the state of the nation's economy and the involvement of the youth in the government.
The effort to restructure the economy is becoming to manifest. Soon from now, this country will come out of the recession, and you can see the big boom in agriculture. This country's growth has climbed up the ladder in rice production in the world. And in a year or two, this country will be selling rice, sugar, wheat abroad.
The interactive session was organized by Citizens for Good Governance in Nigeria. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, has urged the South African government to take decisive and definitive measures to protect Nigerian citizens and other Africans within South African borders. In a statement issued in Abuja, Abike Dabiri Erewa described the attacks as an unnecessary setback. The Nigerian community in South Africa, led by Mr. Ikechukwu Anyene, confirmed the attacks and looting of Nigeria-owned businesses in Pretoria West on Saturday. Anyene said that the union had reported the incident to the Nigeria Mission and South Africa Police. Disturbed by these renewed attacks, Abike Dabiri Erewa advised Nigerians to be extra cautious, as it appears the South African government have no control over these attacks. The SSA, however, called for restraint on the part of Nigerians and warned that further attacks without any reprimand may have dire consequences. Dabiri Erewa said the attention of the AU has been drawn to intervene because information by it has that there will be another xenophobic attack against foreigners on February 22 and February 23, advising that these attacks should not be allowed to continue. The SSA had 2 weeks ago met with South African High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Lulu Aaron Mukuni, on the killing of Nigerians in South Africa, where he promised that the South African government was investigating the matter. The statement indicated that 116 Nigerians have died in the last 2 years, and in 2016 alone, about 20 were killed, and described the situation as unacceptable to the people and government of Nigeria. The National Population Commission has urged Nigerians to de-emphasize politics and look at the economic benefits of census for the country to get it right next year. Chairman and other officials of the Population Commission who said this while speaking on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria program say the head count in 2018 will be on high standard as it deploys technology to the conduct of the exercise. Aisha Uba Ali reports.
The last time Nigeria had a census was in 2006. Another was due in 2016 but suffered two postponement, and it is now scheduled for 2018. Chairman of the National Population Commission and two other officials, while speaking on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria program, say already preparations have gone far as they await presidential proclamation to fully proceed.
As of today, we'll be able to capture only 37 local governments. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to cover about 74 local governments. 74 out of 774 leaves a whopping figure of 700 unattended to. So if funds are not released to us as I'm going to, we cannot cover these 700 local governments within the available time.
On areas facing insecurity, the Commission says it is working with security agencies to ensure that every inch of the nation is covered.
In the available technology, the latest technology, we are using very high-resolution satellite imagery to make sure that we cover every part of the country and there is no gap. So at the end of the EAD work, you will now come with a framework to see what are the logistics required? How many field functionaries, how many enumerators, how many supervisors, how many coordinators? What kind of logistics do we need? How do we deploy those logistics? These are some of the things that is gotten from an effective and good EAD work.
The NPC equally wants early release of funds to enable the Commission make procurement to facilitate smooth conduct of the exercise. In Abuja, Aisha Uba Ali, NTA News.
For happenings in the financial sector, here is Chukunonso Mwabweze.
Thanks for joining us on Business News. As Nigeria continues to roll out plans aimed at addressing its housing challenges, some mortgage financing experts have appealed to Nigerians to leverage the federal government's integrated staff housing scheme, as well as explore other financing opportunities available in the country's mortgage system. These initiatives, they believe, if properly explored, will go a long way in reducing the more than 17 million housing deficit in the country.
The challenge is we are in difficult economic environment now, and so affordability is a key issue because interest rates are very high at the moment, inflation is very high at the moment, and the housing market is the most affected because construction material costs have really gone up.
This is the beginning of good things happening to the sector, where we'll see mortgage assets contributing as much as possible to the development of Nigeria.
And World Bank says there are indications that Zambia's economy will grow by 4% this year and 4.2% in 2018 due to a projected jump in copper prices and improved power supply. The government had predicted that the economy would grow to 3.4% in 2017 from around 3% in 2016. Before we go, let's take a look at how trading fared on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange this Monday. And that's our package on this segment. I am Chukunonso Mwabweze.
And for reports from other parts of the world, here is Fatima Aliyu.
Famine has been declared in parts of southern Sudan, the first to be announced in any part of the world in 6 years. The government and the United Nations report that hundreds of thousands of people are facing starvation, with 1 million more on the brink of famine. There have been warnings of famine in Yemen, Somalia, and northeastern Nigeria, but South Sudan is the first to declare one. President Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe has said that President Donald Trump should be given a chance to prove himself. He went on to express his support for Mr. Trump's American First policy, saying America for Americans and Zimbabwe for Zimbabweans. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has told senior European Union officials in Brussels Monday that the Trump administration was looking at ways to improve their relationship with the EU. President Donald Trump alarmed the EU leaders by endorsing Britain's decision to leave the bloc and by suggesting last month that other states might follow. Pence spent weekend in Germany seeking to reassure Europeans that Trump is committed to the NATO Defense Pact, but left some unconvinced. Fatima Aliyu, NTA News.
And to sports, Rangers International of Enugu and Rivers United of Port Harcourt are confident ahead of knockout stage